So continuing on with the ongoing series of me documenting my record collection. Um, we are up to the C's. I'm not going to say C section because it just evokes other things, but I just did anyway. So, moving on. Yeah, it's going to be have to done, be have to done. It's going to have to be done. I'm at the end of the day in the store. I'm tired. It's gross outside, you know. But yeah, it's gonna have to be done in two sections, just like I did with the bees. So there will be a part one, which is what you'll see now, and then a part two, which maybe next week or the weeks after. See how it goes. Um, and this one I think has like Can and Cocteau Twins and Johnny Cash and Catherine Wheel and other bands that start with C's, artists, Ray Charles, things like that. And usually I am fairly long-winded, but I try to keep it under 20 minutes. So yeah, maybe just we'll go do that now. Check it out as sirens go off in the background. And there you go. That is it. Now, because I pulled these off my shelf, record shelves, they're sort of in reverse alphabetical. So the back is where the A's and it goes to the front and then vice versa. So we'll go through it like that. But starting off with the Chemical Brothers, this is just it's two LPs. It's not LPs, sorry, not long plays. They're 45 RPM. So they're just, it's like a 12-inch single, essentially, but two of them. But there is a really great Dust Brothers remix on here, which the Dust Brothers did lots of different stuff, but they did the soundtrack to Fight Club. They did, Paul's Boutique by the Beastie Boys. Tons of great things. This is great. I actually saw the Chemical Brothers at a place called, I think it was the Warehouse back in the day in the 90s, and it was phenomenal. So there you go. Here we go into the Ray Charles. Some of these I have. This is a U.S. pressing. Yeah, there it is there. Genius Sings the Blues. A lot of these, again, because I am in Canada, will be Canadian pressings, but I do also have a smattering of import stuff as well, and the US for me is import stuff. That is a Canadian one. You can tell it's upside down, but that is the maroon. That's what our Atlantic labels look like, just kind of boring compared to the US one, but I love these covers. It's 58 pressing, phenomenal. There's another one that's this is US, so you will you'll just might have to take my word on that is a US pressing. Let's see. There you go. I think it's a second pressing with that cover, but I'm not 100%. But it says the ABC Paramount. I don't know if that's an original inner sleeve or not, but the great Ray Charles. Ray Charles invites you to listen. This is a USA pressing again. That's on the ABC label. Phenomenal. I mean, obviously I have this many Ray Charles. I have a pretty big affinity for the guy. Modern Sounds in Country and Western Volume 2. Ray Charles Live. That's a 65 US ABC first pressing. I love this era of Atlantic labels. They are just so plain, but at the same time very abstract and just like they look phenomenal. And again, this is a Canadian one because there is that sort of reddish, maroonish cover. But I love the era. And there's all kind of like Ivory Joe Turner, and I just can't. There's so many that are like this, and they're great. Ray Charles Live at Newport, and that's a Canadian pressing there again. Oh, a classic, What I Say, and that is a Canadian again. I think this one is, what is Demito? What is this one? What is that? This is why I like going and doing this, is because, oh, it's Korean. Dang, I didn't remember getting this. I don't remember getting that. what I say, but Korean pressing. That's interesting. And that's why I love doing this, because I do end up finding things that I've completely forgotten about. Modern sounds and country and Western music. Just, we got both kinds, country and Western. And that is the Canadian ABC Spartan Paramount Soul Feeling. I think some of these are, that one is, yeah, these are some of these where it's like early recordings and then they pad it out with a bunch of other stuff. Such a great record. I mean, arranged with Quincy Jones. It's genius plus soul equals jazz on the Impulse label. I'm not gonna lie, can't remember if that's Canadian pressing or not. Crying Time, that's on Polydor Canada. It's the ABC. Ingredients for a Recipe of Soul, that's on the Canadian Spartan label. Country and Western meets rhythm and blues. Look at that. Ray meets Ray. I would hang out with any of those guys. But the cool thing about this is Canadian radio station copy, CJRN. So if CJRN, where would they be? I'm not sure. I should have probably looked that up before I started this. But if you ever listen to CJRN and listen to any of the Ray Charles tracks, this might have been the record you were listening to. Volcanic Action of My Soul. Damn, that's a great title. Genius Hits the Road. I got a lot of Ray Charles. That's a UK mono pressing. I have clearly doubles of that. Okay. Do the Twist with Ray Charles, because everybody put a Twist record out at some point. There we go. That's all the Ray. That was a US pressing. UK, the only one I know, Charlatans, UK, sorry. Here's the thing. I have a really fuzzy memory. And it would have been at the very beginning of the 90s of the Charlatans playing at a gross, sweaty club that was way overpacked in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. If anyone out there can remind me or was there of what the venue was, because I cannot remember. And it was an amazing show, but it was like way too many people in such a small place. But that's the only one I know, 12-inch. Charity, I've got skips on it, which sucks, because this is a really good record. If you get a chance to come across it, pick it up. It's on the Uni label there. And then this is rare Canadian psychedelic music. I did make a video about me finding this record because I went to a garage sale and it was, I found the cover. And then I was sort of like, oh man. And there was a stack of records that were not, didn't have covers. And me and the lady tried to find it. We couldn't match it up for some reason. I went home and I looked it up to see what the label was like. And I'm like, I know what the label looks like now. And I swear I've seen it. And I went back and I'm like, I've seen the Fleur de Lis label. And, you know, you wouldn't recognize that maybe it was that Champagnat Premier capsule as you're skipping by, so she might not have noticed it, but I went back and I got it, and there's the story of how I came up with that one. It's Canadian sort of psychedelic music, good fuzzy guitar, a little bit folky, and plus it's about mushrooms, so there you go. Chambers Brothers, funk. I mean, such good, tight funk. And there's another one. That one's actually a 2LP, one Canadian pressing on Columbia. And then there are a bunch of Catherine Wheel 12 inches. These are all amazing. If you're not familiar with the Catherine Wheel, you probably should be. They were sort of like, their first record Ferment was like they considered shoegazy. They went a little harder after that, which didn't interest me as much. Lead singer is the cousin of Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden. But these are a selection of 12 inches. I think it's Shallow and Black Metallic. Let's see. Yeah, I think this one is the Black Metallic, which was a great 12 inch. All off the Ferment. Free of Mind. I Don't Want to Know. Yeah, they're covering Husker Du on there too, which is amazing. They've also got, like, That's When I Go For My Revolver and Saccharin yeah, if you can ever find any of these 12 inches, and they're particularly hard to track down, get them. I think that's all 3 of them that I have. And then we have the Jimmy Castor bunch, which is King Kong Part 1, the hit single that came off of that. Jimmy Castor was, like, again, super quality funk, especially this one. This was this a reissue? No, that's an original. Yeah, and that's on the red vinyl, which they put down as Stromix. And yeah, that's awesome. Like, that's, yeah, great thing. Phase 2, 73. Here we go. My love of Johnny Cash knows no boundaries. So strap in. I have narrowed my collection down over the years, because it used to take up like 3 sections. I think I had more Johnny Cash than I had even Beatles records, and it took up like 3 sections of the Kalax unit. So here we go. Classic, one of his jail records, Johnny at San Quentin. This is one of the few that I actually have on vinyl. It's actually a sealed 2000 pressing. This was on the American label, I think. Yeah, when he was doing his stuff on American. It's great, but it's sealed, and I don't know what to do. Do I open it? Do I not? I know I've got it on CD, so I can hear it anytime. Anyways, Johnny Cash, From Sea to Shining Sea. All Aboard the Blue Train, which I think that's on the Sun label. Yeah. Here's the original Sun Sound, again on the Sun label. Johnny Cash is Mean as Hell. I love that cover. That's Columbia. Oh, Johnny and June. It's got Jackson. That's all you need to know. It's a Canadian pressing of Folsom. Yeah, it's Columbia Canadian. This is a New Zealand pressing of the first Johnny Cash record. It was put out in 57 there. It is unplayed. And yeah, I keep it because I've never been able to get... I think I might have had a beat-up copy of this. See, in Canada, we got different covers for a lot of this early rockabilly stuff. I think I have one in here. Let's see if I can skip to it right now. Yeah, so this is the first Johnny Cash record in Canada. It is the same as that one, and it was on the quality. There's the blue quality pressing. They did the same thing with... Carl Perkins. Same kind of pink cover with a black and white shot in the thing, and it was the exact same layout as the Sun Records cover that was more done like this. So yeah, that's the original, same as the American Sun pressing, but it's New Zealand. Johnny Cash, Ride This Train. I love this because it's storytelling too. It's not just him sort of, his songs. There's a full story, and I love that. Interestingly enough, because it is about trains, Billy Bragg and Joe Henry did a similar kind of thing of train songs, and it reminded me of this record so much, and I went back to visit this more often. It's a great one. Johnny Cash sings the song Hank Williams. Can't really go too wrong with that, can you? Bitter Tears. It's such a good record with the ballad of Ira Hayes, and it is, Johnny was always very active with the indigenous communities in North America, and as he had ballads of the American Indian, he was always an ally, and that's a great record to track down. Another one on Sun, but I think, yeah, that's the Canadian Purple London. Fabulous Johnny Cash. Look at him. Look at that guy. He's handsome. Look at that. Great hair, great guitar. Amazing artist. That's, is that a USA? Yeah, Columbia 6i. So that's it. I thought I had a lot more Johnny. I guess I've narrowed it down a lot more than that lately. So I can't say too much about the cars. I love them. Where is it? Moving in Stereo it's an amazing song on its own, but it has a connection to a movie that changed my life. Fast Times at Richmond High. And Phoebe Cates. I was a teenager. Those who know, they know. The Capitol's Cool Jerk. It's Cool Jerk. It's perfect. I'm not a huge Canned Heat fan, but On the Road Again is great. Also, Sloan, the band Sloan, during a live recording did a jump between a Stereolab song, this, and one of their songs, and it was the exact same groove, bass line, drum thing, and it blew my mind when I realized that. I was like, oh, dang. So I love Can. I love early stuff with Damo. Here's the thing. I had a find. I'm not going to go into the huge amounts of details for it. That was in the most unexpected place. And I had German first pressings of all the Can records. And I kept them for a while. Unfortunately, I needed money. And these were a quick and easy sell. And I did get good money for them. I went and bought reissues of pretty much all of it. And I'll show you here. So these are reissues. And they're fantastic reissues. They were, remastered apparently from the original analog tapes. I think they sound good. But yeah, I did have original German first pressings of all of this stuff. And I sold them for a lot of money because I needed money. Do I have any regret about that? No, because the reissues really do thing. Camp Low, unfortunately, it's only one record from it. It's an amazing record. You should track it down. I'm getting a little bit fast here, so I'm going to, speaking, try to slow it down a bit. John Cale's 1979 Sabotage Live, Vintage Violence. Everybody should have a copy of this in their collection. Guts is pretty good. I mean, it's not my favorite John Cale record. So John Cage. It's harder to track a lot of this stuff down. It is sort of avant-garde, classical. I'm a huge Stereolab fan, and they constantly, they had the track John Cage Bubblegum, but they constantly reference him, and it's interesting stuff to listen to. Is it overly listenable? I don't know, but it is nice to throw on. It's like, when you're like eating the same food over and over again, and then you throw something wacky in there that isn't your favorite food, but it really breaks it up and makes you appreciate your favorite food a bit more. John Cage, there you go. There's another one. I don't even know what to say. This is amazing. Cabaret Voltaire's Drinking Gasoline. Early Cabaret Voltaire is really hard, almost industrial. I guess some people would say industrial, but it's electro music, and it is really great. Here's another one, The Covenant of the Sword and the Arm of the Lord. Worthwhile tracking down any early Cabaret Voltaire. I'm going to pause this for a second and get these standing back up, and we'll move over to this one over here. And we're back. Cocteau Twins. I love the Cocteau Twins. Her voice, as I don't even know, and it's always fascinated me to the sound. I came into them sort of late. I was Heaven in Las Vegas era. One of my best friends, Jason Overy, he really introduced me to that Heaven in Las Vegas record. It was actually played a lot on the local alternative radio station here when it first came out, and I just became a huge fan. And going back, listening to the earlier stuff, Evo is one of my favorite tracks. And they're related to people I grew up with and around this time period. A lot of the songs for me have connections to those people, and I just love them for that. But Garland's, if you're wondering about pricing, I've mentioned before, I stick these prices on here so that if I do happen to pop off, my other half doesn't just sell them all for $1. So there's Garland's. This came as an addition. A lot of the Canadian issues came with extra stuff, and this was actually combined into a Canadian pressing. There is the individual 12-inch pressing by itself, but that was the thing. Really hard to find any of the 90s pressings, and I think this one was 94. 4 Calendar Cafe. It's a great album to track down, but very, very expensive to get it originally. Even the reissues are really expensive. Tiny Dynamite. This is the Canadian press of it, and I have 2 of them. Don't know why. Milton Cliffs. This is a reissue, but even that, look, the reissue that's a Discogs median on it. is stupidly expensive. I had an original. I sold it when I needed money, which is a theme you will come through very often with my record collection. And I bought the reissue, and I mean, it's still one of my favorite records. Treasure is everything. And this is the one that has the, I can't even pronounce them, Akayaguina. Sure, probably getting it wrong, have for years, but that's got Evo on it, which is one of my favorite songs. Just she does this thing with her voice where it goes Evo, and I should never sing. What were you doing there, Jay? But that is the Canadian version, which actually is, as I said, it has the regular album plus the EP on there, Victorialand UK pressing. Oh, I can't remember the name of this record, and that's the problem with it. Spangle Maker. Sure. It's 45, 12-inch. There's another one that's a 45, 12-inch. And Love's Easy Tears. Oof. So, yeah, that's my Cocteau Twins collection. You got to love the coasters. Just early, sort of almost doo-wop-y R&B soul. It's great. Les Coquettes. I believe they're Quebec, French. It is like girly French pop that's guitar driven. This is a really rough copy, but I've never come across another. I'm not saying it's super rare or anything like that, but I believe they're Quebec. Maybe they're just regular French. Sorry, Quebec. I think that's the Coaster's first record. Look at that. That's like a 57 Les Paul. Are you kidding me? And that is it, the Atco White Label, which was the Canadian version of it. George Clinton, did fries go with that shake? Yeah. Computer games, George Clinton, 12 inches again. Quickie, 12 inches. Patsy, I mean, the voice, like the haunting, glorious voice. Everything that Patsy ever did was great. Don't care, I'll fight you on it. Straight, not to the death because I have a son now, but we'd go hard, you and me, if you said anything against Patsy. Here's more. These are all the Decca Canadian. Oh, look at her. Yeah, that's the Canadian Decca that I think was Compo. Yeah, Compo was the distribution company here. Great. Like Jimmy Cliff, everything about Jimmy Cliff is great, but the harder they come, this is a different level. That's a beat up copy. Somewhere I have a nicer copy, but what are we looking at there? Yeah, there's the Island White Label on there. Can't remember if this is Canadian or not. Island was terrible for that stuff. And then one of my favorite bands of all time, The Clash. I don't need to tell you about them and how great they are. I'll just show you the records. Yeah, so there is the 79 reissue, and I've never really understood how this works. So I believe that this is the 79. It says Canadian second press, but I believe, yeah, it is. So the blue one came out, and this came with an additional 7-inch. And that's it there, not for sale. And then that's the Canadian first pressing. And I don't know if that is, yeah, I think it is. It says Canadian first pressing on there. Anyways, Peter Dunn's Violin Museum, for any of you people who collected records back in the day in Toronto, that was the place to go. And that's it. London Calling. There are several different variations of this, Canadian variations. That's one. There's one where it has 2 records set on there. The discs, apparently it's super rare. And then I forget why this one was different too, but it is because I have it in there. I should write this stuff down. Black Market Clash. I used to have a sealed copy of, oh man, what's the one that looks like Black Market Clash? That was the dual disc. But I sold it because I needed money, which is, again, a theme. Radio Class 12-inch. Combat Rock, Rock the Casbah 12-inch, Give 'em Enough Rope, Story of. This is an interesting one. It's really a rare record. This one's in particularly nice shape. It's on the Savoy. album, but look at the lineup there. Nat Adderley, Donald Byrd, Julian Cannonball Adderley, Paul Chambers on bass. If you don't, Paul Chambers was on, like, I mean, Kind of Blue and Blue Train. There you go. Wow, that almost happened. He's one of my favorite jazz bass players of all time. And Kenny Clark on drums. You're not going to do too much better than that. And there's on the London Canadian Savoy, and it's a particularly nice copy. Okay, Claudine. So as a high school boy, one of my favorite movies that may not have aged so well, but I still love it anyways, and is The Party with Peter Sellers. And this French ingenue was the star of it. And, you know, as a teenage boy who was like, maybe a bit arty, I was just like, thought she was the most beautiful woman in the world. And then she picked up a guitar and sang a song, and it just made it even, I was done. So I started buying, whenever I saw her records at garage sales, I would grab them. Apparently, she may or may not have murdered one of her boyfriends at some point. I don't know. I might be telling tales out of school, but if I recall something about that sort of took the edge off. Because is that smile? Is that the smile of a murderer? Or is that just like a really happy smile? I don't know. Oh, geez, look at her, though. Look at that. And she really did have a fantastic voice. Like, it was breathy and, you know, French. It's all the things. Chris Clark, Soul Sounds, good soul record. If you're like into Dusty and things like that, this is a good record to track down. The Church. Where is the other Church record, whose name I can't remember right now, but it's somewhere around. Charlie Christensen and Dizzy Gillespie. It's kind of a split between the two. It's there it is there. Yeah. It's like a split album. One side's Dizzy, the other side's Charlie Christensen. Good thing to have. Okay, so Chilliwack, Canadian, like, hard rock band, I guess, or, you know, classic rock band, or eventually became classic rock band. But they were also, most of the members were in a band called The Collectors, which was fairly psychedelic music. And this is, I believe, the first Chilliwack record, and it still has a bit of that in there before they sort of went more classic rocky. Good one. Plus the mask is amazing. Clancy Brothers, my dad loves them, so I just always have one around because reminds me of my dad. And Chuck Chillout and Cool Chip. It's 12-inch. It's awesome. The Chi-Lites, for God's sakes, give more power to the people. Apt. You know, don't want to get political, but I'm just saying. The Chiffons, I love all the girl groups of the 50s, 60s, sorry. And these ones Chiffons are often overlooked. They did covers like My Boyfriend's Back and things like that. But yeah, damn, like, if you see it, get it. And the Chocolate Wash Band. I have not been able to track down a copy that I can afford of their first record or any of theirs. So this I think it's 80s. Yeah. This 1980s Rhino collection. A lot of the Rhino collections in the 80s were amazing. Because you got to remember, in the 80s, a lot of these bands were just tragically overlooked. And Rhino were the ones who were like, well, put some stuff out. And that's the label there. It'll have to do for now. And then Alex Chilton, this is obviously his solo stuff. Alex is an interesting guy. Obviously, if you're a fan of Big Star, you know who he is. He was also in, what was the name of the band who did The Letter? I've actually got it sitting out on the turntable right now. Oh, man, when you get over 50, your mind. But the song The Letter, he was in that. And then he sort of went on and did all these amazing little the Panther Burns and like just all these interesting little side projects and really great solo stuff. So, you know, that's just I think it's just like a 12-inch single. But yeah, I love all the Alex Chilton solo stuff. I just don't have a lot on record. I have more on CD than I do on record. But so that's it. That's the first part. I'm going to stand up here and try not to groan like an old man. There we go. And yeah, again, probably pushing the 20-30 minute mark here. Sorry for the length, but that's just the way it is. So there will be a part 2. This is part 1 of the C's. And then we'll go through the other section of the C's, and it will be part 2. So keep an eye out for it. If you like this kind of thing, subscribe. You don't have to. I'm not the boss of you. But if there's, if I'm, you're into this kind of thing, let's talk. Put some stuff in the comments. I love comments. They're like my favorite thing. And I'm almost out of breath. There we go. All right, y'all. I hope you're able to find some cool stuff when you're out there digging in the crates. Bye.